Welcome back to Life Goes On, the podcast. Before we begin, very important, I don't like doing this, but very important, Instagram at Life Goes On, the podcast. YouTube is Life Goes On. Spotify is Life Goes On. If you're watching, you can like and subscribe if you enjoy. But I am super excited for this episode. I have a very special guest, my roommate Charlie. And we're going to be talking about, surprisingly, something that I have no experience with, but that's exactly why we're talking about it today, because she has plenty of experience, and it's something that I definitely want to do in the future. So, I mean, two birds with one stone. I get to learn, other people get to learn. I feel like that's very great. So today we're going to be talking about interrailing.
Yes.
And your experience and anything that I've managed to fit into these questions. But it's just going to be like cute little conversation on all of your experiences. Basically how you prepared, where you went, how did you figure out you wanted to do it, and like everything like that. So I guess we should start with like, how did you figure out you want to do this?
So I was first introduced to interrailing in summer 2021 when I took part in the Discover EU program. So when the summer you turn 18, so for me it was actually the year before, but I had to postpone my trip because of COVID. I won this Interrail ticket that's sponsored by the EU, and you take part in a selection, and yeah, I got selected, and so went on a trip around Central Europe that summer, and that was my first experience, and I really enjoyed it, and decided to then go interrailing during my gap semester last year, which was an amazing experience. And not only have I then gone on these like really long train trips, but I'm also using Interrail passes as a convenient like travel pass because of like flexibility and many other reasons. So yeah,
that's very good. And how did you prepare for such a long trip? Like, what did you pack, or like how did you prepare yourself for doing this?
So I don't know, the practicality. I think I'm a very practical traveler. I don't really need that much stuff. I just had a bag with me.
Yeah.
And last semester I first left the Netherlands in September, and I knew I'd probably be coming back to the Netherlands around end of October, November, and I was only going to warmer places. So just packed a bunch of summery clothes and a few books and a few board games, and that's about it. Just left, as you do.
Toothbrush, get done.
And how do I mentally prepare? I didn't.
Yeah, I guess since you've done it before.
I think I had interrailing experience already when I left in September. I had quite a lot of experience traveling on my own, as in the actual traveling from one place A to place B.
Yeah. And
then just spending time in visiting places by myself that I hadn't really done. And I just knew that I'd be stepping out of my comfort zone, and I was enthusiastic about the idea of meeting up some new people and going to new places. So didn't really prepare, I guess.
Just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
But I think in a way that's better, because if you kind of overthink and you're like, I'm gonna be alone the whole time, like what if something goes wrong, like then you start basically like getting anxious about it. But if you just are like, definitely. I'm excited for this, it's not like you're the only one doing that. So there's definitely people who've had amazing experiences. Yeah, it makes sense that you just didn't have to mentally prepare that much. Where did you go? Like,
So as I said, I was in warmer countries at the beginning. So I first went to Spain, then Portugal, and yeah, sort of went around the first the Atlantic coast, then the Mediterranean coast, and stopping in a few like sometimes big cities, sometimes smaller places along the way. And then I also went to Italy, the south of France, Czech Republic, went through Belgium. Then towards the end of my trip I went to Denmark and Sweden, and then from time to time did have to go through the Netherlands again for either to just
checkpoint.
Checkpoint, exactly. Unpack, repack. Yes, I went to lots of different places.
And like, how long did you stay per place, or did it depend on the place?
It did depend on the place, but I mainly spent, I'd say on average 4 or 5 days per spot, which is it gave me time to really see everything I wanted to see, but also I didn't want to rush my travels too much. And what was really nice about the flexibility of the Interrail pass I had is that I could really be super intuitive with how much time I spent in each place. And because I was traveling off season, hostel prices didn't vary that much, whether I booked a week in advance or on the day itself, which also gave me that extra flexibility of I guess I'm done in Porto, let's go to Lisbon now. I mean, it sounds a bit crazy just said like that, but that's really how it was.
But yeah, I mean, if you've already seen everything you basically needed or wanted to see, then there's no reason to, you want to use your time's worth and go to the next spot. Yeah,
but also having that, like on the other hand, having so much free time that you can really just chill and enjoy a place with no time pressure, really just what you're...
Yeah, because then you never get tired.
Yeah,
you have a lot. I feel like if, for example, you had 3 days you have in each place, and you're just like, holy shit, 3 days, I have to do all of this, and you never really get rest that you need, maybe sleeping on the train, but that's not very safe either. So yeah, that's really nice that it was so flexible.
Yeah.
And from all those places, it might be very difficult to choose. What would you say was the most either spectacular or best or memorable?
Well, all the places I visited were memorable for very different reasons, I think. I started off with let's say I had the party era of my trip at the beginning. I went out a lot, and that was mainly in Spain and Portugal. The nightlife was really amazing there, and because the weather stays nice for so much longer than it does in the Netherlands, I could really make the most of that. And it was also the period of my trip when I was really letting go of a lot of stress from the year before and all. So I think that would southern Mediterranean Europe, let's say, is definitely my favorite place for really just having fun and having a bit of a wild time. And then I love Scandinavian nature. The nature's definitely I went on the most beautiful hikes in Scandinavia.
Oh, wow.
And really enjoyed that. The cities are really beautiful up there as well. Czech Republic is impressive in terms of architecture. It's so old, because it's a country that was quite preserved during the 20th century. So it's like stepping back in time. Edinburgh's also like that. Oh yeah, I forgot to say I also went to England and Edinburgh, and Scotland,
Oh.
at the end of my trip. But yeah, I met some really interesting people
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to choose a favorite. I don't think I could.
Was it easy to meet people like when you were out and about?
I think it takes some getting used to.
Mhm.
Definitely, I'm quite an introverted person, so especially in the beginning, it was not the easiest thing to do. But I'm really glad that I learned that, and it's
Yeah.
definitely something I'm taking, like keeping with me from this trip. This ability to interact with people you don't
Mhm.
know that well, and um, the hostel environment is really helpful for meeting new people because everyone is there to meet people.
Right, of course.
So you don't have that as much of an initial awkward ice-breaking phase because really everyone is so friendly and spontaneous. Um, so yeah, the hostel community is
Mhm.
great for that. But no, it's not that easy. But definitely worth stepping out of your comfort zone for.
Yeah, and I bet like it's something that's kind of needed because you still need like social interaction. You can't go through it all alone.
Yeah.
And you must have heard like crazy stories from other people.
Yeah, and that was actually what was so great about solo traveling. You're not actually solo at all. It's just because you're not traveling with people you already know. It's much easier to make new friends.
Yeah.
Once I was settled down in a hostel, then I'd have people to go out on day trips with, or go out like in the evenings with, and being solo was just really in deciding where I was going to go. But once I was wherever I was never really by myself.
Yeah, and I feel like that's also kind of better in a way because when you're with somebody specifically to travel, it kind of is like a double thing where you have to also take them into account a lot of the times. So if you're like, oh, I want to visit this place today, and they're like, well, I wanted to visit this place today, you always have to like take them into account.
That's true. There was definitely no sense of compromise when I was traveling by myself because I could really do what I wanted. And I had this, I described it once to someone as, and then, that description fits so well that I just keep describing it that way. But that feeling when you're in primary school and it's summer holidays and all you care about is having fun, and you wake up in the morning, you have no worries. I mean, I'm so lucky to have felt that again at like our age, and to have been able to go on this trip and feel this. But it really feels like that. You just
wake up and live life,
and all you care about that day is having fun. So because that was also possible because I was by myself and not compromising. I mean, obviously, traveling with other people has like so many other, like, it can be really fun as well, and it really allows you to bond with people, and also, I mean, there's a safety factor as well. But definitely would recommend to everyone going on one solo trip in your life. Even just a solo weekend somewhere.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be like a whole summer thing. It can just be like an experience. I feel like you have to dip your toe in it before you really dive into the pool. And this might be a bit of a spicy question, but what is a place that I wouldn't say disappointed you, but you wouldn't go there again?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have to think about that one. I think So I went to, I think big cities are not my favorite place to visit. I mean, I think big cities can be really nice to go to for a weekend, especially for cultural reasons. But I did feel like the environment could get quite stressful and oppressive sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to go on a long trip by myself again, I would avoid big cities because that's just not where I was thriving most on my trip, let's say.
Yeah,
so I don't think one specific place, but one general type of place would be big cities. Yeah, capital cities are just not my
very touristy
favorite.
Maybe, and
yeah, definitely busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. Of course, I mean, I was there as a tourist. Yeah. I mean, I think all touristy places are like touristy for a reason, but yeah, just these really really busy environments and places I would rather only go to for a few days. Yeah.
Because I can imagine that's very tiring to go out there in this huge city and be overwhelmed with so many different people.
Yeah, it can be really overwhelming actually. Also, if you're in a place, in a country where the main language is a language that's foreign to you, the most widely spoken language is one that's foreign to you, and you have so much stimulation that requires a lot of energy and concentration. It can be quite exhausting.
Yeah. Is there a story, maybe a crazy experience you had, or just a memorable story from your time interrailing? Something that was wow, I can't believe that happened.
Oh gosh, I probably should have prepared this question before, because now obviously my mind is
to
blank now. No worries. One particular event. I mean, I do feel like when I was in, I did have some Mamma Mia moments when I was in my. I mean, I really felt like Donna from Mamma Mia when I was in the when I was in Mediterranean Europe maybe, because it was I was in the part of my trip that I was definitely romanticizing the most, and really I was having so much fun, and I did there were a lot of those memorable moments, staying out so late and then swimming, before going back to the hostel, swimming in the sea with the sunrise, and all of these these moments I'll always have a clear picture of in my head. I can't think of a particular anecdote right now, but I have a lot of these core memory kind of moments.
You can sprinkle them in throughout. And did you I feel like when I think about interrailing and traveling by myself, especially as a woman, there is always that factor of safety. Do you have any tips, or maybe how was the safety factor for you throughout that? Was there something that you had to take to make sure that you did, or was it pretty smooth?
So I think the most important thing to say beforehand is that it's not that I didn't take a risk, it was more that I measured the risk and decided to take it anyway. So I was I did think, when you're traveling by yourself, you can be identified as a solo female traveler, your vulnerability can be quite obvious. Also, staying in hostels, you're with a lot of people, surrounded by people you don't know. But I decided that actually I wasn't there were, as long as I took some basic precautions, I didn't feel like my risk was that much higher than
Any other
my
yeah.
daily risk.
Yeah,
if that makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, I stayed within Europe, so I knew that if something serious happened, I could be home in less than 24 hours if really necessary. I had friends and family like aware of where I was. You know, if I was going out, I would make sure to leave with a group, come back with a group.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other things. When I was in the train, I would try to stay in the busier carriages, especially if I was traveling overnight, just to because I was reassured with having people around me. I did a Q&A on my Instagram story after my trip, and people asked me if I had like a knife or pepper spray.
Oh.
And I actually didn't.
Yeah.
I was thinking, should I have? I was very lucky that I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Would maybe recommend
Consider
it.
Yeah.
Would probably recommend it though. And most importantly, don't do anything you're not feeling safe about. If you, it's not for everyone. Don't let it take. If the risk factor is going to make the trip less enjoyable for you, then just don't take that risk.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. And there are certain lines that I also didn't cross. I mean, I met a girl who hitchhiked from Germany to Portugal.
Oh my god.
Which is something that's like, for me, that's a safety line I can't cross. I talked to her about it, and she said, she would not recommend. She didn't trust anyone but herself to do that sort of thing. Just follow your gut feeling, and just like taking basic precautions. But I was very lucky that I'm now safe and sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have one or two like uncomfortable encounters, but it all was fine in the end. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Ooh, this one's a big one that I'm wondering about. I can imagine, okay, hostels can be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And the Interrail tickets can also be a pretty good price, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And you can take a lot of things with you.
Yes.
But do you have any tips for budgeting? Because it adds up, I feel.
So when you're with a group, Airbnb does quickly become cheaper than hostels, but hostels, especially in certain countries, can be very cheap.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, I got if you get the Interrail pass at the right time, you can get quite a lot of discount on it. Any budgeting tips? I did not eat out a lot at all. I bought most of my food from supermarkets, and even drinks I mainly bought from supermarkets. Didn't really buy much when I was out. And I bought things that I knew would last me several days.
Yeah. Don't need a fridge, probably.
No. And actually, a lot of hostels offer have a kitchen space, and also there are often fridge spaces there. You just have to label your food and then
hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Yeah, you do have to sort of cross your fingers on that one. But that does make it quite a lot cheaper. I had my student card with me because to get student discounts in museums, or I used Too Good To Go a lot for food as well. That was a good one, and that was actually quite nice because I could, depending on where I was, I could have quite good quality local food as well for reduced prices that did
Save
Too
a lot
Good
of
To
money.
Go.
Yeah.
I'm quite a loyal customer.
Same. I remember my mom introduced me to that app, and we
Mhm.
would always go together to the stores and see what we got.
Yeah,
So fun.
yeah, it's very exciting.
I can imagine that in like France and Italy, you get pretty cool stuff. Like if there's a bakery around.
I got stuff, really nice stuff everywhere. In Italy, I got really good pizzas
Oh my
from
god.
2 years ago. Yeah, if you choose a local restaurant or a local supermarket, yeah, you can get really good stuff. Do I have other budgeting tips? Well, a lot of I did spend so much time just walking around and looking
Yeah.
around. That's how I like to discover a place and travel. So that wasn't. I'm not a very. I don't have very expensive needs. To be
Yeah, like, it's
honest.
not like you were going shopping.
No,
'cause
not
there's
really.
not really place that
No.
you can put the things.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the shop
Because you just
with.
have it. Because I just have a bag
Yeah.
anyway.
And it was more about looking around and exploring. Than
Yeah, taking photos.
Like, yeah.
I don't have. Yeah, just benefiting from being a student for the
Yeah.
discounts and then not eating out that much. That's my main.
Yeah, I think those are the main things that take away your money. Like if
Yeah.
somebody's like breakfast, lunch, dinner in a restaurant, that adds up. Like,
Yeah, and also because it was a very long trip, that I really had to anticipate. It's not like I was traveling for 2 weeks and kind of. I think it's easier to splash out when you have. When it's a shorter trip because you know that you're going back to your normal
Yeah.
lifestyle afterwards. But because my trip I was basically traveling for a whole semester, I had to be really careful because I had to make sure that I could sustain the traveling.
Yeah.
Um.
And you probably saved up a bit before, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't have too expensive days. my main tip.
let's see. Ooh, how did you pick the places you went to? Like, was there specific reasons that you went?
Actually, so the beginning it was just like somewhere warm, please.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
Um,
this is just not the vibe.
And yeah, I knew that I'd be traveling. Like the largest part of my travels would be over the autumn and winter. So I was like, oh, I've just got to make the most of this
Yeah.
summer while I can. So that was the main reason why I went like south. And then my first stop was Barcelona. But that's also like geographically kind of logical because that's how you get into like Spain and Portugal. So and then a lot of it was actually from just hearing other travelers talk about places they'd been to really made me want to go to specific places.
Yeah.
And sort of followed the coast then into Italy. Also I did visit a few people along the way. I visited an old housemate in Milan, visited a current housemate in Florence. That also set certain steps along my journey for me. And of course, because I had this luxury of flexibility, then I was able to do that as well. So yeah, really quite just hearing about different places and deciding I wanted to see that for myself. Yeah.
Ooh. I think what has this changed this whole experience? Has it changed the way you kind of either view the world or your worldview, your philosophy on life maybe, or has it changed you in that way?
I think I definitely philosophy of life and view on life not that much. If anything, I'm more myself because I really just getting away from all my daily life distractions and all the things that sort of filled my brain and deconnected me from my like intuition and a lot of my emotions. I think I did come back more myself. So when people ask me, oh, like, did this trip change you? Yes, but not as in I'm coming back different, more like I'm actually coming back more myself. But I did meet a lot of really interesting people that are who themselves had a very different perspective on life compared to mine. And I think that really, I had so many interesting conversations. And where was I going with this train of thought? Yeah, I met very different people who triggered a lot of interesting thoughts and conversations. And I do think, even though, when you study in a city like Groningen, where everyone's a student, everyone has a similar, let's say most people have a similar socioeconomic background, similar interests, similar level of education. We really are a bubble, and then just completely stepping out of that bubble and meeting people from all sorts of different backgrounds with all sorts of different ambitions is not something I was often given the opportunity to do. So that was really nice. And I met some people that I'm still in contact with, and hope to see them again. And meet more people throughout my life.
Yeah, exactly. And did you just like take pictures, or did you also collect souvenirs, maybe like small little tidbits from your trips?
I collect postcards.
Oh, yeah, of course. The
postcards. I've collected postcards since I was like 11 or 12,
that's so
which
cute.
is a very like, looking back, I'm very grateful that's why I started collecting, because it's such a handy thing to collect, because it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Exactly.
It's very cheap, and I can like hang them on my wall now. I have this visual reminder of my trip. And sometimes I collect postcards that people have sent to me as well. So I did collect postcards, and I took quite a lot of pictures, which was more for the sake of other people than for my own, because I'm not,
you're seeing it.
I'm seeing it. I'm not a sort of, I don't get too attached to my pictures. Like, I don't for example, I don't really look back at pictures from the places I visited, but I'm still very happy that I have them. If one day I do, but postcards. And I sent a lot of postcards to people as well.
That's so cute. I love that. Oh yeah. Maybe we've already covered this, but I guess, did you ever feel lonely during your trip?
Yes. I think there were definitely some some hostels or some places you don't necessarily click with anyone particularly that one time, or else you make a group of friends and then everyone leaves before you do. So there were moments where I felt definitely a lot of moments when I felt alone, and then somewhere I felt lonely. I think there's quite a big difference, because being alone was very was part of the aim of this trip, was to spend more time alone. And I'm usually very happy being most of the time I'm very happy being alone. I'm very happy to spend my days alone and like visit places by myself. I'm very happy in my own company. But some evenings you feel alone, or you feel FOMO, because you see, for example, you haven't really clicked with anyone, but then everyone else is like having so much fun and getting ready to go out or whatever, and you're not part of that group, you can feel a bit of made me appreciate the people that I was missing in those moments. Helped I found found ways to keep myself busy, and I don't apprehend. That's not something I would apprehend if I decided to go on another trip by myself. I know it's normal to feel lonely sometimes.
Of course.
And
even at home you can feel lonely.
That's a very good point. You don't have to be traveling to be lonely. I think most lonely people are lonely because not from being physically alone, actually.
Yeah, I agree. You can feel lonely in a room full of people.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And I guess we can finish it off with maybe if you have some specific or interesting advice for somebody, if like something that you've learned that you're like, you know what, I should probably remember this next time.
I would definitely recommend to everyone to go on a trip by yourself once in your life. As I said, don't do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, but even just like a weekend somewhere really helps you. It can really help you discover. This sounds so cliche, by the way, but it can help you.
Cliches for a reason.
It can help you discover things about yourself. Like if you're really by yourself and trying to like occupy yourself for a weekend, and you don't have this pressure from people in your environment, like who want to do other things, for example, and you really do make single decision for yourself, it can help you really discover or help you reconnect with parts of yourself you're not usually connected with. And stepping out of your comfort zone is also a very healthy thing to do. I think. And also I did travel with like Interrail because I stopped flying a while ago for like to travel more sustainably, and I think this slow traveling, appreciating the distance that you're actually covering when you go from one place to another, and thinking about like how you want to keep on like carry on traveling while still thinking about how you see traveling in the future and how you would want everyone to travel. I would definitely recommend like thinking about that, because there are lots of alternatives to flying. And like slow traveling is there's a lot of information available, so I would also recommend taking a look into that.
Honestly, I love going with the train because seeing the landscapes and like having that like, you know, you have time for yourself. You're in a nicer seat, I feel like, than in a plane. You can bring whatever you want. You don't have to go through security and all those things and come 3 hours early.
It doesn't, depending on the distance you want to cover, it doesn't necessarily take more time to travel with the train, because you leave the middle of a city to go to the middle of the next city.
Right.
You don't have that extra traveling to and from the airport. You don't have to arrive as early. Traveling with a train can be really quite quick, and as you can appreciate the landscape and the distance that you're like actually crossing.
And you have that peace of mind that you know that you're doing something better than plane, and I enjoy that like whole outlook on it, because I do believe that so many people go with the plane because they find that they think that it's easier, or like they're like, oh, it's, you know, I've always done it, so like, you know, but at the end of the day, like going with the train is better, even though some people don't like to think. But and I feel like in general this whole experience is probably very sustainable, because you buy your own food and you take only what you need, and you really just appreciate everything that is out there as it is without having to add to it or do anything. And yeah, that's an amazing thing. And honestly, like, when I was listening and when we've talked about it before, it really inspired me, because I was like, you know what, like, traveling, like, I love to see new places and explore. Like, my boyfriend and I, we always try to go to very culturally rich places to explore the culture and the world, and I've always loved talking to people about different places and, like, what is that place like, you know? And so I would definitely love, even if for a weekend, to just take a trip somewhere by myself and, like, really do what I want to do and spend time with myself. Because I feel like a lot of people, it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant with someone, that's like the normal thing. But if you go to a restaurant by yourself, just want to go somewhere random, go to a restaurant completely by myself, have a nice glass of wine with my dinner, and people, like, kind of look down upon that because it's like, oh, she's a mom. But it's like, no, it's me and myself.
Actually, it's really great that you bring this up, because that can also be the first step, even before going on a weekend trip by yourself. Like, even just going to eat out by yourself can be a really, like, really good, like, learning experience, and would definitely recommend it.
Well, I want to thank you so much
You're
for coming here and, like, talking about all of this.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. We're more than happy.
Hope it wasn't all too awkward.
Oh, it definitely wasn't. I feel I was very into that conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think I looked at the camera once. I did not mean to ignore you. But yeah, I thank you so much. It was incredibly interesting.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy to have learned so much, and I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you learned something, that you were inspired to do this as well if you want to. And yeah, explore the world. I think exploring the world can actually teach you a lot, and it can get you out of that bubble, because I feel that bubble all around me all the time. You know, we're privileged people, and sometimes if you're only stuck in this world, you don't realize what you have, and you can't be as grateful for it. So yeah, lesson in gratitude. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, and I hope to see you next week. Bye bye.